hey, there's a wild fulfill your destiny in the call. How did this happen?
I don't know. I was just, just meandering through YouTube, and I get this DM like, hey, I have this project. Want in? I'm like, sure.
Sure, bro. And just like drag you over here. So I've got my good buddy here, Fulfill Your Destiny. Dude, you've been following me for like ever.
It does feel like it, yeah.
What do you remember the first game that you saw me streaming that you came in on? I was trying to think about it, and I honestly couldn't remember because it's been so long.
it would have to be. Part of me wants to say that it's Mass Effect, but then something wants to tell me it's Persona. So it's
I think it was Persona 4.
Okay, it might have been.
Because Mass Effect I didn't do till much later.
Okay, so yeah, it must have been Persona 4.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that sounds about right because, one, that's when people started to find me more, so that would make sense. That game really got some momentum going.
Yeah, no, it did. Yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah, because you were there pretty early, and Persona 4 was still pretty early in the channel because I think you started watching, and we started talking and everything when I was still under the Asara 9 name, like the original channel name.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
And we all collectively dumped on Matt and everything. As you do, it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Well, I'm really happy that I got a chance to grab you, and one of the reasons that I wanted to have a call with you is because, one, I just like talking with people, seeing where they come from, things like that. But being that you've followed me since my streaming days through my writing days, where I very haphazardly put out stories and stuff like that, till now, where like I have a regular podcast and everything. I think it's interesting to get a perspective from someone who's on the other end of the thing, like the audience opinion type thing, right? Yeah. Because people that might be listening or watching or something like that, you might have some questions or a perspective that they might have, and I find that interesting. So
it's always nice to have different perspectives. So
definitely. And you have a channel of your own, Fulfill Your Destiny. It's where you must go in order to fulfill your destiny. So if you're not watching, you're losing at life, right? Like that's how I took it.
No, that's an excellent way to put it. So
yeah,
you're only helping yourself if you check it out.
It's how you fulfill your destiny.
Exactly.
The is complete. So would you like to introduce yourself, one, for people who may not even know who you are, maybe people who do, who don't really know Fulfill Your Destiny, or like all of a sudden they remembered, oh yeah, that's a fact about that person.
Yeah, definitely. So my channel name, as you might or maybe don't know, it does derive from that Star Wars line, Emperor Palpatine telling the newly knighted Darth Vader, "Fulfill your destiny."
Perfect impression.
Exactly. So just right off the bat, I'm a gigantic nerd, so that just needs to be laid out there. Exactly. Right. But I like that. So the quote itself, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but maybe we can. But there's like
this is all about rabbit holes. So
also that whole line, it's a villain character, telling another villain character like, you have to be a villain. That's more or less what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, behind the scenes, like big picture wise, the Force is more or less like looking at him like, okay, yeah, we're gonna see what this destiny entails. So to me, fulfill your destiny means that everyone has a sort of purpose or mission in life. I feel that mine is sort of acting like a Sherpa, and for those who don't know what a Sherpa is, it's for those people who do like trekking guides or trails, and like especially like mountain ranges. So it's, in other words, they help which paths to take, or what dangers there might be. More or less, someone who helps others get from point A to point B. So that's sort of how I enjoy my outlook on life.
Yeah.
And then some other like multi-layered within that is there's a phrase called noblesse oblige. So normally that's like people in social standings, they have like responsibility to act with generosity. I take that, kind of like put my own spin in it. I haven't heard this term anywhere other than myself, but like I call it the helper elf perspective. So it's more or less it could be the most simplest thing. So your neighbor needs some sugar or flour or whatever, hey, I just went to the grocery store, I got extra, here you go. But anyone can adapt it. That's just my point of view. Especially giving some of your time. So nowadays everyone's tremendously busy, work, family issues. So it could be you're listening to their day, you're accompanying them somewhere, maybe an appointment or an errand, or just giving them that moral support. So it's just, if you're able to give yourself to the most minuteness possible, that really does make a difference.
Yeah, especially in our ever manufactured, nothing is real, everything is fake, future. The genuine touch of like, hey, I'm here to listen to you, instead of, I don't know, maybe going to an AI generated therapist or some shit,
Exactly. Yeah, like, welcome, what is your issue today?
That sounds like you have a case of anorexia. Like, oh no.
Exactly. Eat your Wheaties.
And then just hold on to it. Maybe eat some eggs. Instead of, talking to them about what's actually going on.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and then, so how I got into streaming, long story short, so at the time, I didn't have the best of like domestic situations happening. So, as opposed to triggering Mr. Mackey, I decided, hey, I like video games, I like entertainment, I like streaming. Why don't I just start streaming? And then I sort of just, took off from there. I don't stream for work or like my livelihood. So I stream for, fun, relaxation, and then just keeping in touch with the small communities that we've gathered, and like with chatters and friends. And I was just calculating it, actually. So my 5th year stream anniversary will actually be July of this year.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. My very first stream was during the COVID quarantine in 2020, and then the kind of like first-ish stream was with Shaboinky Boink. I think I'm pretty sure you know Shaboinky Boink. I don't know if anyone else does.
Shaboinky Boink.
Exactly. He is like, he's the top tier when it comes to technology troubleshooting.
Yes.
And it's hilarious because his profile picture or avatar is Gur from Invader Zim, and like it fits. It's like, you have a tech trouble, just, well, what does Gur think about it? And it's like, boom, okay, there you go. And yeah, so we were playing some Breath of the Wild, and then because he was helping me with the not the broadband, the widthband, whatever that stat you use to make sure the stream is optimal. But like
bandwidth.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Bandwidth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was helping me figure that out, and then once we got that going, then a few days later, that same month of July, then I did my first official stream, which of course had to be Super Metroid, which is my favorite Metroid game. And then look at how I planned this. This is an excellent segue right into the next.
That is a perfect. It's like you had a plan of where this is going.
Exactly.
So yeah, it seems like you like Metroid. I get this weird feeling like you like Metroid a little bit. Even just looking at your logo, for your channel, just kind of get this weird feeling.
I know. I mean, I was thinking about it. I was like, I've been playing this series for over 30 years. Do I like it? Do I not like it? I'll have to keep playing it in order for me to figure out if I like it or not. But yeah, so why Metroid? There's several reasons. We could take it like an onion. So the first, there's some familial, family perspectives. The music of the game. Oh my god, the lore. The amount of mature themes in this series is just like intense.
That come out of nowhere sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like all of a sudden,
I'll discuss some of those when we're going to delve into this more. And yeah, I'm even surprised even when I go back and play some of the games, I'm like, oh, okay, gotta take a breather. We just kind of read this line in this scan, or hey, we just decimated our comrade. Oh, let's kind of take a breather.
Yeah,
let's make sense of what the hell we just did.
It's like, man, we just saw a log entry that was about like 5 different genocides that happened on top of each other. Jeez, I need to sit down.
Exactly. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So familiar. So I'm the youngest brother. So I have 3 older brothers. I more or less grew up watching them play Super Metroid, and so that was my very first game that I was confident at beating on my own. I still remember like the first time I would see them play it, and then I think they were like, "Hey, do you want to try?" Because they knew like I was watching them, and yeah, so they helped me through like my first playthrough, and then that was kind of more or less got me hooked. Now regarding the music, I enjoy the music. It's otherworldly. It really adds to the oomph of your boss fights, and then just the world building. So you enter a new area, and you could just hear the transition into that new area, and it really is immersive. And even I'm enjoying like the new additions, like Metroid Dread and like the new Prime Force game that's coming out. It really does seem like it's really deriving from that music and really letting it flesh out, and I really love that. Like more or less any soundtrack, you can like imagine it just being like a starting point for like, if not a new game, then like maybe like a chapter in a game. Like, hey, okay, now Samus is gonna do that, or now she's gonna start doing this, that sort of thing. And it's just overall like relaxing and calming. Like I remember some of the jobs I've had, they've allowed you to like listen to music while you're working. So like I would listen to it working. During college, studying, I would just put on my Metroid playlist and just work, and I would be off. And then that really helped me like stay focused and like get everything done.
That's how you really punch through the grind.
Exactly. It's when that Ridley music starts, you're just you're just going to town. And then another aspect of why I like Metroid is the lore. So I really didn't know too much about lore until the Prime series came out, and that was November of 2002. So it's been quite a while. So before that, I was really focused on just Samus being, a kick-ass action hero, space bounty hunter, fighting to save the galaxy. And you understood, even as a small child, I understood like, if you lose, then the galaxy loses. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. So we have to, make sure Samus collects all her items, improves her fighting capabilities, and then complete the mission, complete your bounty. So once the Prime series came out in 2002, fans were given the very first instances of the Chozo lore. So these are writings from the Chozo, and the Chozo, I don't know if you want to like eventually throw up a picture of on there somewhere, but
shoot me what you want to put up and I'll put it on.
Okay, nice. So so they're were a bipedal bird aliens. So they were regarded as one of the most technologically advanced species in the Metroidverse.
They also have a sick name, so I
They
mean that
do.
counts for a lot.
Exactly. It's almost as if that name was chosen for a reason. Right?
It was chozoed for a reason.
It's all coming together.
Circle complete.
Exactly. There you go. So the Chozo lore gave players a better understanding of the Chozo cosmology. And cosmology, just simplify it really, it's a group of people's perspective on their place in existence. That's more or less what it is. So it's, they're no longer around, and we're trying to figure out, who were they, what did they do for fun, things of that nature. And then moving on that, so the mature things we're discussing. Metroid actually does have a manga volume, so there's 2 volumes, and they are intense. So it's some of the themes that you'll read about, Samus's upbringing. Right off the bat, spoiler warning: her parents were murdered in front of her and eaten by Ridley. That's like, what the fuck? You read that and you're like, okay, well, that happened. So
that's what you call motivation.
Exactly, right. And what's cool about that, I mean, that's not cool, but they really tie that.
Yeah,
what's
man,
cool about
your parents
seeing
got eaten, yo.
Exactly. What's cool about seeing a young child's parents get eaten by a gigantic dragon is
as she watches, the blood dripping down her face.
Exactly. But they really tie that together in Other M. And Other M has its problems with the voice acting and some other issues as well, but it really ties together with her aspect of PTSD. So it's, people play Other M, they're thinking like, why is she acting this way? Well, if you read the manga, you'll understand. Like, you'll probably be more pissed off than she is. Like, no, like, give me the plasma rifle. I'll just put it in his forehead, and we'll end this immediately. And yeah, so that's that aspect of, like, you're reading this, it's a form of entertainment, and it's, primarily for, you would imagine, like, kids are playing video games, so, pick this up. But when you read that, you're like, whoa, like, what's going on here? And there's a scene in there also, I'm like trying not to do too many spoilers, but there's what I call the butterfly scene. And so the reader is introduced to these uwu cute butterflies who quickly turn Owo on Samus, and they more or less say hello to our little friends, and Samus is forced to kill them. And the reason why that is she needed to synchronize with her Chozo DNA to activate her power suit. Well, later on at the end of that chapter, the reader finds out, oh, that was Mother Brain. She did that, and she did that prior to her going rogue. So she was still in the service of the Chozo, but she more or less said, well, if I didn't do that, she would have died. And just, you're like, what the hell? Like, that's real creepy. Like, it reminded me a lot from iRobot, just like, we have to do this reason because of that, and if we don't, like,
right,
you'll be screwed. But she was still a young kid at that point. You're reading that, you're like, damn, like, I can't imagine doing that. Like,
no wonder she never talks.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, what the hell? I wouldn't want to talk either. Exactly. And then with her, you brought up the genocide. So she did commit genocide on planet SR388. That's the homeworld of the Metroids. And, we can say it was good because, yes, the Metroids were at the risk of overpopulation of the planet, and then if a group such as the Space Pirates or another group were to come and start harvesting them, then they're going to start implementing them in their military forces and like take over other planets. So, but more or less that was genocide, regardless. And then she returns to the Federation like, hey, yay, Samus committed genocide for
everyone's saved except for the people that are dead, but
exactly.
We don't care.
Exactly. It's like, well, job well done.
Hey, you want to go wipe out these other people that are super evil also? Yeah, let's go, man.
Exactly. It's just like, here's a gold star.
Would you like us to reset all of your equipment and armor and stuff to when you started so you can go start all over again? Yeah, sure, whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. That's more or less what happens. And then so when the Prime series came, that just opened the door like widely. So the Prime series leads us to, you know, environmental catastrophes, planetary wars, alternate dimensions, civil wars. This is like, you know, we're in the nitty-gritty now.
Right.
There's in one of the games, there's a part where you walk into a hallway and you find 2 deceased alien bodies, and curiosity, lo and behold, you scan them and you read through it and you say, well, you just found out this is a parent and a child who died together shortly after because they weren't able to escape our harsh environment. You're like,
well, that sucks.
Exactly.
Thanks for bumming me out today.
Exactly. You're like, you know, you read it and you're in that mindset of that's it's devastating, but then that's like right before you're trying to get like a piece of equipment that she needs, you know, in order to get, you know, to the next section. So you don't have that ability. I mean, we do, you know, as players, but you can only imagine like what she's going through. Like, okay, I read this scan, can't really like grieve them, you know, or grieve for them, you know, their circumstance. I just have to go to the next section. There's another part where you learn about a child whose mother was killed, and then the child has to rise above his grief and act as the leader to protect his entire species, and that's a thing in and of itself. Like, what the hell?
There's some fun resonance there. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Like it's like, I mean, like she doesn't speak in those, but you can only imagine. Like, I would think that she not only feels empathy, but maybe some pride that, like, you know, they were able to do that, like, to help out their people.
Some kind of connection. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there will be other scans. So Prime 1 does this a lot. I think Prime 2 and Prime 3 do a little bit, but I think Prime 1, there's a scan where it really connects with like modern humans and does this. So you learn about how management staff are placing unrealistic productivity goals on the shoulders of their employees. It's more or less the space pirates complaining, like, you know, management gave us these numbers. There's no way in hell we're going to get these numbers. They're like,
Freaky Finger Flinger wants us to fling even more fingers. How are we going to keep up with demand? We only have so many fingers.
Exactly. And they can only fing so many times until we get tired. Exactly. But yeah, so it's that, like, it's that combination of, you know, the realities of her universe, and then that connection with, like, hey, you know, they're kind of going through similar things that we are, as far as, like, you know, the management staff and employee aspect of it. But
yeah, that's an interesting balance where, like, you know, it's not all dark. You know, you get some of the silly, like, oh man, we're pirates and we still have to keep up with, you know, whatever our boss tells us. You know, like it kind of balances out the scales a little bit there. Like, oh man, it's really sad that these kids died also. You know, like
exactly. Like, another funny one was so it's when they're trying to, we read about at one point they were trying to feed Metroid's like Scooby snacks. It doesn't say that, obviously. That's my head lore. But they legitimately go exactly. They legitimately go, oh yeah, we tried to feed the Metroid some snacks and they started throwing up, so we stopped doing it.
Let's go head crab something else. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is that great balance of, like, you know, hostile happenings, and then sort of like, you know, hey, okay, you know, we're still able to have some sort of levity in here that really does help. Yeah,
keeps it from getting too grim.
Exactly.
It's interesting how much more, because, like, you know, you play Super Metroid, and, you know, there's not really much in the way in, like, you know, cutscenes. Like, there's a couple, like, coming down in the ship and, you know, things like that, right? But they don't, like, throw a wall of text at you, or this, that, or the other. So much of Super Metroid and before Prime and all that is all like environmental storytelling. Like it's telling the story just from like things that are around, rather than directly being like, hey, by the way, genocide happened. Like, now you got to deal with that in your brain.
I that's another reason why Super Metroid is my favorite, because it's you're in the the deep end of it, and your first playthrough, well, yours also, but like anyone's first playthrough is you're playing this game and you're thinking like, okay, like what's gonna happen now, especially now, like not many people play platforming, so it's what are the bosses like, what am I trying to get to, what dangers are there. And it's like there's the music aspect of it, but then these environments look different. Like sometimes you'll enter a room, oh, I'm slowly melting to death, okay, gotta go back outside.
See, my first thoughts when I was playing Super Metroid is I keep dying. I'm really bad at platforming, and I'm just proving it over and over again, and probably spacing out when I play this isn't helping either.
Well, so that fits perfect, because that's more or less what it would be like. Just imagine, like, if we got isekai'd somewhere on some Metroid planet, like how many, like even me, like come on now, I probably wouldn't last that long either. So it's like, unless you are the chosen protagonist, and you're somehow able to collect these items and build your inventory and all that. But that's more or less what it is. It's just like you're on some alien world, just trying to more or less survive the next few minutes.
Yep.
Hopefully get some signal out somewhere and get, hey, hitchhike your way out of there or something. I don't know.
Good luck curling up in a ball. No one's as limber as Samus.
Exactly. You want to make sure you're properly able to morph ball without breaking your spine.
She has a spine of rubber or something. It's like reap.
Exactly. And then, so another aspect is my education. So I have a double major bachelor's in social science and history, and then also a minor in anthropology. And then the anthropology minor, it was more focused on cultural anthropology. So that really enabled me to learn about how different groups of people view their societies, the world around them, the upbringing of humans, from early man to modern day Homo sapiens.
Right.
That I really enjoy that, working with those courses. And then also I have a master's degree in history, with an emphasis on 20th century US. So that'd be, post Civil War-ish to, early 2000s, a little before then.
You know a lot about my boy Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I love Teddy Roosevelt, man.
Exactly. And then so doing that extensive education experience, I was able to learn to connect leisure with learning. So I actually wrote some academic papers on some anime series. So one of the anime series is Monster by Naoki Urasawa.
That's a hotbed right there.
Exactly. So we'll get more into that later on, but that's I greatly advise everyone to watch that. There's also a manga also, but I've primarily watched the anime several times. And then just I really learned how to in grad school to analyze primary documents, and those are documents that more or less were left by past generations to provide us a glimpse into how they lived. So I make a joke, and my colleagues at the time would joke our generation's primary documents will eventually be like our DMs and our Snapchats. This will eventually be after our generation is gone. Like the next generation of historians will be looking at what did the 2025ers think of their life, and they'll be sifting through our tweets and all that stuff, saying, oh, okay, this is what was important to them.
Oh man, Fulfill Your Destiny sent wet ass pussy to 15 people. Weird.
Oh god.
That one got you good, didn't it?
Or he keeps posting about this Metroid stuff. Was it some sort of religion he was in? Was he part of a cult? What's going on?
How many cats does this guy have? He keeps posting all these pictures of cats.
Some of the cats apparently had jobs as salespeople. What's going on here?
So weird. Hang in there. A lot of hang in there. Positive thing. This guy seems like a positive guy, but that's actually a very accurate derivation there, man.
But yeah, so I definitely did gain a better appreciation for leisure. So video games, shows, by viewing them in like different lens, and then just by placing them in their historical context. And it really, like, everyone doesn't have to do that, but if you have the chance to, like, just, and there's probably some YouTube videos that do a better job of explaining it than I do, but just, the basic thing, like a basic thing would be like Monopoly, like, how that came to be, the board game Monopoly, of course.
Right.
And like what that means, well, for back then when it was created, and then like why do we continue to play and all that stuff. So it's just there's always a wider I guess aspect of like leisure, and it's we can think of leisure as just like maybe just reading a book or watching a show, but is like a brighter implications of that, and that's one of the things that I like to sort of always keep in mind.
Yeah, you'd be surprised like how rewarding and relaxing at the same time just like deepening an intellectual pursuit can be. Like I constantly am crunching on some sort of history podcast or book or something like that. Like I've been just powering through history of China, history of Japan, and things like that. I just finished a George Washington biography after finishing a Reagan biography after finishing a Winston Churchill biography after finishing this and that, like so on and so forth, right? I'm constantly like trying to deepen my knowledge of history and culture and cultural exchanges, things like that, because one, it deepens my own writing. I'm able to pull out relevant examples, especially for my fantasy series, of like, oh well, here's how this empire that I actually know about, from top to bottom, here's how this empire fell. Which, if you've never checked out Fall of Civilizations podcast, that is like an amazing podcast to listen to. You get these nice long episodes that one give you a great glimpse into what life was like in that civilization. That's the subject of the video, but also what made it fall apart. What do we know about the fall of the Incan civilization? What do we know about, well, it's rather well documented, but, the fall of Carthage. And the Punic Wars work out for the people of Carthage.
Yeah. That might have had something to do with
it. Yeah. Things like that. I meet people all the time that they say like, oh, I like this, but I only know so much about it. And I'm like, why don't you take the time and learn that? Like, if you really like, say, food, why don't you look into food history? Where does that food that you're eating, come from?
Do you, I'm gonna hijack a little bit. Do you think, like, because I know, so I brought up the time constraints, and we could break it down if we really want to, like a 24-hour issue. So it's, you can only do so much in 24 hours. Right. Besides that, what other issues, like, do you think prevent people from, like, actually, like, pursuing that, like, I want to learn more about, I don't know, crepes, or I want to know more about, like, different styles of baking bread, like.
Attention span, the quality of presentation by who they go to learn from it. So like, you know, if you're trying to learn about food history and you've never read a recipe book and you pick up Escoffier, you're gonna be puzzled to say the least, because it's written all in chef speak basically. If you say really want to learn about you know, history of China, right? And you go to a podcast or a book that is extremely dry and you can't deal with dry, you're going to listen to the first episode, maybe not even finish it, and you're going to be like, nah, I'm good. You know, even if you have the time, if something isn't engaging enough, you're not going to commit to it, right? Now, me, I've listened to all kinds of stuff. You know, listening is how I primarily read. I you know, listen to audiobooks and stuff like that, because that's how I like to, you know, go through it. I can listen to it while I'm doing other things because I have basically two brains that I can work with, right?
You have two brains?
Yes, I have two brains. One can listen and pay attention and take notes. The other can do whatever the hell I have to do. So, you know, at work, I just listen to podcasts and audiobooks and stuff pretty much the whole time because most of my time I'm not interfacing or in a meeting with people, right? Most of my job is just number crunching. So in that time, I can just put on, you know, biography of George Washington because I always wanted to learn more about Washington. Now I feel like, you know, I really knew George Washington to the point where when it got to the end of the book and, you know, talked about his death, I felt like I lost a friend. Oh. You know, it really hurt. Yeah. I was going to recommend you a book about Winston Churchill because he's got some interesting thoughts that I think you'll find really compelling. By the end of that book, you're going to be crying when Winston Churchill dies. It hits really hard.
What's
even after I think it's Churchill. I can't remember the author. I'll send it to you after the call. Okay. And I'll put it up on the screen so everybody can see it. It's a wonderful book if you have any interest in British history, World War II history, World War I history, the Boer Wars, you know, the end of British colonialism, the perspective of, you know, British culture from the noblesse oblige, right? All of these different layers, and, you know, the takes on political theory and things like that. You can disagree with the politics of Winston Churchill and still get something out of reading up on him because he's just an amazing figure in history.
Nice.
His perspective on how the noble class is supposed to relate to and guide the you know, the common class, you know, and everything, what was really interesting. And, you know, he definitely wasn't like a lot of, you know, nobles, even in his time as the noble class was slowly falling apart.
Well, yeah, it does sound interesting. I'll have to give it a gander.
Oh, it's fascinating. You'll not be able to stop going through the book. It's really, really good. So Metroid, we tackled Metroid somehow, but we didn't answer the most important question.
Yeah.
How is Freaky Finger Flinger a pirate? Like, how is this giant body part severing dinosaur thing hijacking any kind of ships whatsoever. How does it even fit? It's chained up. It's in a lava pit. Like what? There's so much wrong going on with Freaky Finger Flinger being a space pirate. That is like, it's just a monster. It's like Ridley's pet. Okay, it's gotta be, right?
So my understanding is, at least, so I can talk about both Super Metroid and Metroid Red. So in Super Metroid,
yeah,
I view Kraid or Freaky Finger as just sort of like a manifestation of like an impediment. So it's more or less, like it's like you're correct. Its body and its girth. I mean, he's a girthy dude. There's no way around that. He's not gonna be.
That's what she said.
he's not gonna be doing any DUIs, GTAing or anything like that.
Right.
He's just not going to. But there's an interesting part is before you go to his like lair, there's an actual part where you see like a mini Kraid.
Yes.
So my headcanon is that it didn't delve into it. Maybe we're kind of hoping that there might be like a Super Metroid remaster, but maybe there's some like that's his species, and if he's able to sort of like send them out, like, because they're smaller than him, and it does look like they would be able to eventually like get into ships and maybe like multiply, like I'm imagining like a Critters scenario, like getting in these ships and then just going hog wild, and like maybe he takes over that way. I don't know.
It's like the xenomorph Freaky Finger Flinger thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't let it hear you. It's gonna fling its fingers at you. So instead of the little mouth, you see the fingers coming at you.
You're like, no. The fingers got me.
Exactly. And then and definitely in Dread, it's the same thing. So it's he's chained up. You can't advance unless you get him, and most of the time, at least in Dread, you do have to fight him multiple times, unless you're really good at pairing, which I'm not even playing that game. But it's just that sense of this is your next wall that you're facing, and if you don't defeat it, you're not leaving this room. You're not advancing the game. Certainly, you're basically screwed if you can't find a way to beat this creature.
Pretty much. Oh my god, I remember trying to fight Kraid. That's not the real name. It's Freaky Finger Flinger. Okay, they need to change the wiki. That thing's name is not Kraid. It's definitely Freaky Finger Flinger. I don't even know how much time I wasted trying to fight this stupid thing. I was so mad at it too. I'm gonna have to link at least one of the streams, because it was just ungodly. Like, my god.
I do remember that the celebration of it, though. You were very ecstatic about finally beating it.
But I had a much better time in Dread, so there's that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Once I actually had the equipment for that fight.
Yeah, but it is definitely it's an interesting take on like a boss fight, and then
just a wall. It's literally just a wall. That throws fingers at you. You knew I had to bring it up at some point, because that's my favorite thing to talk about from Metroid.
Oh yeah. Oh no, of course. Yeah, no.
So I have a couple of what I call my inside the actor studio questions. Did you ever watch that show growing up?
A little bit.
So, he's got like what you get to the pearly gates, what are you going to say to God, blah, blah, blah. Here's my take on that I'll be asking everybody going forward. Most important of which is, what's your ideal pizza?
Oh yeah. So
very important.
Exactly. I might get canceled also, so we'll see what happens here. But so light meat sauce or garlic sauce. I actually like to taste my pizza and just not feel like I'm getting waterboarded with sauce.
No way.
I've had some pizzas that are just like, okay, where's the pizza part?
Where's the cheese?
Exactly.
I detect nothing but sauce. Did I ask for a bowl of spaghetti sauce? No.
We get it. Your sauce is good. Can we try something else?
As you're drowning.
Yeah, so it'd probably be a tie between either a combination or a cowboy. I'm kind of leaning towards the cowboy. So cowboy style would be barbecue sauce and then chicken and different meats. And then the cheeses. So we're gonna have to include Munster. We're gonna have to include pepper jack and then mozzarella.
Okay.
And then the part that said I might get canceled is I actually do enjoy pineapple on pizza. I'm sorry, everyone.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It really is. It's the only real way to eat pizza. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna lay it down, man. So here is my perfect pizza. Okay, I've probably laid this down before where people could see it, but we're gonna put it like set it in stone. Okay, you make your own crust because you have no idea how amazing pizza crust can be until you make it yourself.
Oh yeah.
You get fresh mozzarella, some crushed garlic, get fresh pineapple. Don't use the can. Cut that pineapple up, cut it up into nice little chunks, right? With some nori flakes, sesame seeds, and some like nice smoked ham, preferably, you just got done smoking it. Dude, like, I mean, you could even add pulled pork in there or something if you want. Some bacon. It's just the best. It's the best. I don't even need sauce because you get sauce from the pineapple. Biting into the pineapple.
Yeah, exactly.
If people had pineapple pizza, Hawaiian pizza, which is actually Canadian, surprise. They just called it Hawaiian because it sold. If you actually had Hawaiian pizza with fresh pineapple instead of in the can, I think a lot of people would be on board if they actually tried it with like real pineapple instead of stuff that's been blasted to hell and back in a can.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
It changes so much. Especially if the pineapple is in season, you just get a new dimension of juicy flavor.
Yeah, definitely the freshness of it, and like the home. I mean, maybe if you're not able to do at home, because we have like a local place that they'll do fresh pizzas. Like it's the place we go to. It's not this isn't Domino's or Little Caesars. This is them actually making it from scratch, and like you see them put it in the oven and all that. So that's like. You're like on a different planet, like compared to like anything that you've eaten before.
Yeah, I'll always be thankful to Papa John's for like opening the door, because that's the first pineapple pizza that I tried. And I was like, ooh, this is good. And then I had it with fresh pineapple. I was like, I can never eat this again.
Exactly.
It's ruined for me forever.
Exactly. Oh my God. Okay, so you mentioned food getting ruined for you. So I think it was a week ago. I went with a friend out of nowhere. He's been taking more not vacation. Well, yeah, like because he's racked up some vacation time in his job. But he's like, hey, want to go get some fish? And then so we went exactly fish and chips. So we went to San Francisco Bay, and like I had never been there. I mean, I've been to San Francisco, but to this certain spot, he goes, okay, I'm just gonna warn you. He's like, this is really good. I'm like, okay, how good could it be? I can't.
Famous last words.
Exactly. I can't eat fish now without thinking of that taste. I'm just in my head. I'm like, well, this isn't fish. I don't know what this is, but whatever I ate over there, that was fish.
And probably the key is that they get in their fish like much faster than other places that you've gotten, so like it retains more of that flavor from wherever they got it.
They literally just go like maybe a few hundred feet, get it out of the ocean, and then take it back and make it. That's literally what they have to do.
Yeah, and surprise, it's fucking amazing.
It's like, hey, they put the effort and like the know-how how to make a good product. Hey, it's actually good.
It's like I tell people that don't like seafood, like, hey, why don't you go to New Orleans, go to like one of these hole-in-the-wall seafood places, get like a shrimp po' boy or something, and tell me you don't like seafood anymore. Or go to like one of those again hole-in-the-wall places on Myrtle Beach or Miami or wherever it is, somewhere where they can fish, get the fish to you right away. Instead of throwing it in a freezer and something or something and washing out all the flavor from it, pretty much. Exactly. It's totally different.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Fish is better enjoyed where fish at.
Exactly. Yeah. The closer
it's even
you are
better
to
when you fish it yourself, but that's a whole nother layer there.
It's like the closer you are to the actual fish of where they got it from, the better it'll taste.
You should jump into the sea, just like snatch it with your teeth.
That's it. There you go.
Do it Gollum style,
Exactly.
Give it to us raw and wriggling. All right, so you pass the test for pizza. You pass with flying colors. What is let's say you have an infinite budget, okay? You can pull any talent you want with no red tape. So like you can pull an actor and director combo that are on completely different production company contracts. It doesn't matter. You can pull anybody you want. You have an infinite budget. You can get anybody you want. Tell me about your perfect game, movie, or TV show, assuming whether it's an adaptation of something that you want or completely original. It doesn't matter. You get to do anything.
Okay, so I had mentioned it before, so it's gonna have to be Monster by Naoki Urasawa. So it is right now. It's both a manga and an anime. So I'd be wanting a live action series of it. And it has to be a series. It's too long. It can't be a movie. Even if you did like put it in 3 parts, no, it's not. You're not doing it service.
You're not actually getting the layers in there.
Exactly.
That would actually be Monster.
Exactly. But so for those who aren't aware of Monster, it's a psychological thriller genre. It is slow building, but there's a point to where you're just off to the races.
Yeah,
and you're in it. Like I remember, my friend introduced it to me, and I think some days, like I was still in college at that time, I would just like stay up watching it. I think one day I had like an all-nighter just watching it, and I'm just like in this like what the hell's gonna happen now? what's gonna I need to see the end. And there's a cool aspect of that series where there is like there's a phrase in there, and it's we want to know what's gonna happen at the end, and until you experience it, you're like, oh damn, like okay. But another reason why I say that particular series is it's legitimately embedded in historical occurrences. So it's most notable, it's World War II Europe and then the post-war era. And it's people will talk about occurrences. Oh yeah, like they're doing such and such experiments, and there was issues with orphanages and issues, corruption, and we have evidence of all that happening. Maybe not specifically with these people, but that stuff did happen. So we're reading this, fictional story. We can call it fiction, we're not certain if something like that happened.
Right.
It could very well have happened. That's how they're able to flesh it out, and not just make up something. No, it's we can research all these happenings.
And that's the best kind of historical fiction. The stuff that's like, but it may not be fiction.
Exactly.
we don't actually know.
And that's the eerie aspect of it, because you're reading this, and it's sort of like it's those things of like when you're hanging out with something, and like you both are like reading or watching something. It's like, oh well, that couldn't happen, and you have that awkward laugh, like, like, huh? And it's almost like, maybe not to the extent, but you get the feeling of like it could maybe be like a what was I gonna say? Like a like not live action. What is that?
Are you talking about stop motion?
No. Like a true crime sense. Like you do get that sense of watching these occurrences happening, of these characters, how they react, and even how some of them act. Like, I'm sad to say, I know some of the people who act like these characters in both the positive aspect and the negative aspect. So that even gets eerie in and of itself, of watching these. Like, oh my god, like there's actually people who do this sort of thing.
Yeah. That's when you have good character writing, when you see that character in other people and you're like, oh no.
Exactly. It's like, I just got done speaking with the phone. What the hell?
Oh my god, it's Nobu. No, not Nobu.
But one thing that the studio would really have to work diligently is avoiding another Death Note Netflix movie. That movie just I have many issues with that. Too many to discuss on this podcast episode with you. But my main issue
got one
with that,
thing right.
the name.
No. They got one thing very right, and that was casting Willem Dafoe as Ryuk. That was inspired casting.
Yes.
That was perfect. Everything else sucked.
Exactly.
It was. Oh man. Yeah, don't do that to Monster.
Exactly. Well, like, so for my issues, I totally agree with you. He was great casted, but it's the use of and there's a whole, I've read different articles and watched videos, and the whole take is, well, it's think of it as like an alternate universe, or like what would have happened if it occurred in America and all that stuff. Okay, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But my main
Light was
issue,
actually smart.
Exactly.
not a stupid teenager, Nimnod. Like Light wasn't a loser. Light was awesome, but he was evil as fuck.
Exactly. And like, for me, he wasn't a hormonally focused individual.
No,
not in the manga and not in the anime. Look at Light Yagami knew he was attractive, knew he was sexy. He knew how to manipulate both men and women. He never acted on it. He had it so together, he didn't need to act on it. He didn't need to sleep with you to make you take this package and go plant it somewhere. No,
he just needed to suggest
because he's Light.
Yeah, exactly. He just needed to suggest that maybe it could happen.
Yeah, like, hey, want to hang out at my hotel? Oh yeah, by the way, can you take this package to the post office for me? Thanks.
Oh hey, God of Death, can you do this and that thing for me? Why? Because it's interesting. Oh shit, all right, let's go.
Exactly. The store got some new apples. Well, why didn't you say so? Let's go do it right now.
Hell yeah. Whereas the Netflix Light, I don't think he could think his way out of a paper bag unless it involves screaming or, like, I don't know, pissing his pants. Like, and it's weird. It's like they switched Light and Misa's character.
My friend said the same exact thing. He goes, I think whoever interpreted the series just didn't think it fully.
But like, even the girl who's supposed to be Misa, I don't think that her name is Misa, right?
No,
it's something stupid. Some stupid American name. She's like still really dumb too. So like you didn't even swap it right. like someone's supposed to be smart here. The smartest thing that's here is Willem Dafoe, and that's because he's just yucking it up in the back like, oh, this is interesting.
Exactly.
You know, like
they more or less just said, okay, Willem, you're Ryuk, and just let him do it, and he was able to do it because he's Willem Dafoe. It's
so funny because I didn't think about it watching Death Note originally, but the second I saw the casting for that, I was like, it's true. Ryuk is Willem Dafoe. How did they get it so right? This adaptation's gonna be the best. No. Speaking of Netflix adaptations for things, what did you think of Cowboy Bebop?
I actually didn't watch it, but I have a friend. He knows more about it than I do, and he more or less told me that it was probably a good idea that I did not watch it.
Okay, let me break it down for you without being spoilery. Okay, they got about 80% of the show right. They really understood several key things about the show. The guy that they cast to play Jet is just literally Jet. like if you want a live action portrayal of Jet, that's your guy. He's really good at it. It doesn't feel like he's playing a character. It just feels natural. A lot of people took issue with Faye. I get it. I kind of liked her. I thought she did a good job. But I do get that she's a bit annoying, but also Faye Valentine's really annoying in the show in certain bits. So
it works.
That's why I felt like it kind of worked, you know, like she's obnoxious, and you know, that doesn't always run with people. I felt like I felt like Spike was decent, you know, pretty good. Julia was okay. We're not going to talk about Ed. Ed doesn't exist. Ein was perfect. Ein was a dog. They didn't have enough scenes with Ein, but that's their problem. The thing that they royally fucked up so badly that it completely demolished the show and any chance of it working was Vicious. I don't know who decided to do what they did to the arch bad guy of the show. But they don't deserve to write anything ever again.
You are henceforth banned from the world of literature.
It's so easy to get the character of Vicious right. He's just violence personified. That's it. That's Vicious's character in the anime, right? Have you ever watched the anime?
A little bit. Not too much. Yeah.
Okay, so Vicious doesn't really come until the end of the show. Vicious is like, in a way, an alternate future self of Spike. They come from the same place. They, moved up the ranks together and stuff, but Vicious is the one that made it and Spike is the one that, quote, washed out, but not really. He just went for another life, right? They messed up the villain of the show so utterly and completely that it makes Light in the Netflix adaptation of Death Note look faithful.
Oh, God.
It's so bad. He's completely unrecognizable.
Oh,
It's so bad that like my hands were shaking as I'm watching this. Like this can't be real. Like
is this the character's fever dream? What's going on here?
It's like, okay, he has to be like, maybe they're going for, he's like really devious and he's playing everybody. No, he's just a fucking dumbass pussy bitch. The whole time. And then at the very end, they try to make it believable that he turns. And it's like, no, it's not believable at all, because you just showed that this guy has no spine and he's supposed to be the bad guy of the show. Really?
Oh, Lord.
It's just, yeah, it's better if skipped. It's better if you watch the first couple episodes, because then you'll see, like the main three and you're like, oh man, they're actually pretty good. I like this. Then the rest of the show, it's better ignored. But it's so frustrating because they were 80% of the way there. They really had so much of it. They have several episodes that are parallels of the original show, and they work really well. Maybe they got some details kind of like, but it worked. I was like, okay, I'm bought in. I get this. I get where this is going. No, just no. The 20% that they fucked up was the entire pillar of holding everything up. It's so offensively bad.
Oh gosh.
So there's my rant about Cowboy Bebop Netflix. You were so close.
Well, since we're still in the realm of live action adaptations, what are your hopes and dreams of The Legend of Zelda live action?
We'll see. So here's the thing about Zelda, right? I'm not a Zelda expert. I still like to joke, that Ocarina of Time is called Ocarina of Time. And I've literally only played Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. That's it. But what's very interesting about Legend of Zelda is that each of the like major series, most of them don't connect in any way. I think there's only one that does, right?
Yeah.
Each time it's different. So there's not like a...
Oh, I think I know what you're getting at, but go ahead.
Yeah, like there's not like a central beat of like, this is the Legend of Zelda storyline. Like, yeah, there's a certain architecture to the series, but on the whole, the details have been so wildly different to the point where, one of them is Waterworld, one of them is, the time that Legend of Zelda was inspired by Underworld, but also not. And, like it's been so different each time that I think that they could really do their own spin on it and it won't hurt as bad, right? Yeah. Like it would still feel in the spirit of the series, because each time they've brought something new. It's like if they made a Final Fantasy movie again, not Spirits Within, but if they made a Final Fantasy movie, a live action one, but it was just like Final Fantasy, that is a wide open fucking book, dude. Yeah. all that's canon Final Fantasy is like fighting things, really weird costumes, like there's no like hard and fast central beat to what a Final Fantasy game is. It's mostly flavor that ties it together, right? So
that's a good point. No, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, so they'll have more wiggle room.
Yeah.
the fans should be able to look in and say, well, there legitimately isn't, like, there. Every time like there is a new game, Nintendo will try to like revise the so-called timeline, but there really isn't. It's sort of just an amalgamation of happenings, and it's just like, here's what it is.
It's weird because like almost the most contiguous storyline series that they have is Pokemon, but even that is like some semi non-concurrent, like it's understood that one happens after the other, but they're kind of not connected at the same time. Like you have some characters that show up between, like they've never actually laid out the map and said, oh, here, by the way. So it works, but also like if there was no connective threads at all, it wouldn't be the end of the world, right? That's why I really liked the Detective Pikachu movie, because I think it got that. It got a lot of the details about Pokemon and was extremely imaginative in how they portrayed the Pokemon and everything. And I love that artist that they tapped to like consult on how the Pokemon would look in real life, because that guy's art is freaking awesome.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it's very inspired. I felt like the Super Mario movie that just came out, not John Leguizamo jumping around, but I felt like the animated movie that they did still very much so found that flavor of thank you, dog. I felt like the Super Mario movie found the flavor of Mario enough that it didn't feel off when it did notes of other things to like kind of tie together a movie feel, So I think I would, in this day and age, unfortunately, I'm cautiously optimistic about most things and downright pessimistic about more than I'd like to be.
I understand.
I don't want to be cautiously optimistic, but Hollywood and game producers and so many establishment media, veins keep screwing the pooch and burning goodwill that I'm getting tired. I'm tired. Are you tired of some of the crap that they put out, man?
No, I am. It's sort of every time, like, so I mentioned we were talking about Monster before, and at one point they were gonna do some sort of project, and it was actually gonna be with Guillermo del Toro. And I don't know what actually happened. I think he didn't like what the studio was gonna do, so he more or less just said he spoke with Urasawa and he's respectful of his work, and he said, well, the studio doesn't want to do this, or they're going to do this, and he's like, I don't feel comfortable or confident in producing this for Urasawa, so he just like he tapped out, and so nothing ever happened. But yeah, I think Del Toro would be an excellent director for whatever project came out with Monster live action. I really, because he has I mean, come on, Hellboy, like what the hell?
He has a better chance than like 99% of the directors, producers, and all that these days. Exactly. He seems to be able to pick up enough that will like actually movify something, that it doesn't feel not what it is for his adaptations, and that's very difficult to do.
It is definitely.
There's so much Hellboy to grab from. The fact that his Hellboy movies felt like Hellboy at all is really a testament to his skill,
Yeah, and I think it's one aspect of either it could be like a video game adaptation or a book adaptation. It's I mean, we all have to understand, especially with the books, we know two people are going to read the same book the same way. So it's once you see that on the screen, you have to know, like, this isn't going to be as your mind imagine it. Yeah. And you have to have some sense that whoever's working on this is going to get, like, the heart and the soul of whatever that series is, and then present that. And again, when you walk away from it, don't say, well, I read that chapter and, you know, the character did that, and when you're looking at it, the actor or actress is doing it another way. It's like, no, well, that's the way that they're going with it. Now, if they just completely, you know, character in the book, you know, was a hardcore badass, and character on the screen is, like, not, and you're okay, then you can shit on it. I give you full authority to go for. or
they do, you know, gender swaps or whatever, just for reasons. I get it in certain circumstances. You know, I get it. Maybe you just, like, wanted to tweak something. You're condensing characters or, you know, something like that, right? Yeah. I get it. Every now and then it could make sense. But when you know, make Sherlock and Holmes lesbian lovers, I think you've missed something. Just a couple things. That might work in certain genres of film.
or fan fiction.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, I get a demand for certain types of characters to exist and stuff like that. It doesn't mean you need to usurp, you know, what something that's already established is. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's like if I, oh God, I don't even fucking know, dude. Have you ever seen Gurren Lagann?
A little bit.
So one of the characters who, like, helps stylize things, like he goes and he makes sure that things get fixed up, and he paints the mecha and stuff like that. He's pretty gay. If I made that character straight in an adaptation, I think people would notice. And they'd be like, dude, what the hell? You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's more or less to where it could be like, it's like, okay, did we watch the same, or did we read the same book? Did we watch the same series? Like what happened here?
What did you get from that I didn't?
Exactly. Read the directions to yourself as I read them aloud.
Did you just read the Spark Notes? Did you have ChatGPT just cook you up a summary and you're like, bet, got it? If the answer to any of those is yes, just don't. It's
like, Ash Ketchum is now a twin, and his sister is evil. Works for Team Rocket.
Well, what's sad is, like, now even, like, there's a lot of lore master, you know, accredited as lore masters for certain series and stuff like that. Like, Dave Filoni is a perfect example for Star Wars. Yeah. And he helps direct The Acolyte. And it's like, what? This guy's supposed to know something about Star Wars, and he okayed this? Really?
Exactly.
Even the people that you should, like, theoretically, like, big quotes, be able to trust can't even seem to get it together these days. It's really strange. It's a really strange time we live in.
Well, I'm going to be just blunt and say, I just think that at any time those, you know, project managers or whatever, or like consults, I guess, at some point in time, they're being presented with a number, and let's just say it's a money number, and they're told this. They're saying, we appreciate your input, but what about
money.
this. Exactly. And then so they're just, maybe they don't ever think they'll ever be involved with something of that that amount or that aspect.
Yeah.
And they cop out and just say, okay, cool, let's do that. And it's
Yeah.
just like,
I'd like to be rehired. Let's go with it.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. You would think success would be the measure of that, but it seems like creative media, like establishment creative media, just doesn't work that way anymore, which is very sad.
Well, like that's like I was mentioning fan fiction, like I would rather read like there's some incredible fan fiction out there.
This is amazing
like,
fan fiction. Yeah.
And then when you see these new series, it's like, how are people working in their homes? They've never been hired in any studio, able to put this together, rather than someone who's had decades doing this nonstop, and it's just one after another. It's just
So in a similar vein to that, my fantasy series, Shattered Wings, which I think you've been able to read part of that. I put up a couple chapters. That started that entire story started as a homebrew of D&D. That just kind of grew from there. I didn't like certain races that were in the handbook, so I was like, maybe I'll tweak them, or I don't like this ability, here, so I'll tweak that, and things like that. And eventually, it hit me as like, I'm making my own world. I'm just gonna make my own world, man. So, like, I'm already halfway there anyway. Let's just rip off the fucking Band-Aid. And it really grew from there. But it started, homebrews are kind of like the fanfic of tabletop, basically, when it comes down to it. So it essentially started as a D&D fanfic. My space opera that's coming in the further future, that one started as kind of like my reaction to Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek and Star Wars and all of these space operas. What's my take on that? Not necessarily a fanfic, because it never really was like set in one of those universes, but it's very much so like a reaction and reinterpretation of a lot of those constructs and ideas. So on the topic of my stories, I know 5,000 out of 10 segue here. I know I've thrown a lot at you like over the years. Do you have a favorite series or favorite like specific story that you've read from me that like sticks out?
I think I'm gonna say the Avalon Academy series. I just I like magic and adventuring, and I love how you're able to like place the reader, and it's just like another realm. Like you're reading the story of these characters, how they interact, and I love that. And any time that I'm able to read any book and like have that occur, like it's almost like it sounds corny, or some people are like, oh, you're just saying that, but it's almost like you're doing like a VR, like without the headset, you're reading something, but you're literally just there. You're getting excited about certain characters, you're getting pissed off at certain things, but in a good way. It's like like, no, I can't believe that happened. Like your hopes are with these characters, and you really have a way to really like thread that, and that's something I appreciate in my involvement in your work.
Yeah, and you're actually the reason I was able to get art for that. So pat yourself on the back there.
Nice, awesome. Glad to help.
That series is a lot of fun for me to write. I really enjoy that one because, being a slice of life, you can go for vibes instead of just like trying to push a story every single time. It's hard to like always be writing something that's like push forward, plot, right?
Yeah.
It's really nice to have something that's just vibes,
And it gives you a lot of breathing room, both as a reader
yes.
and I would imagine as a writer also, because you don't have to worry about that looming danger. Maybe there is an overarching danger, but for now you can just, character is speaking with character about, hey, what book did you read the other day? Oh, I found this in the library. Oh, cool. Let me look at it.
Or, oh, I've got really nice coffee. Come drink my fucking coffee. What? Why would I want to drink your coffee? All right, I'll drink your coffee. Well, this is life-changing coffee. I really appreciate that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a really interesting series to write for. It's one that's so much more being written from the pants. So I don't know if you've heard the whole like, not necessarily debate, but like spectrum of writing in the writer community. But there's this idea of being a pantser or a planner, and in between you have a planter.
Sounds a little interesting, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So a planner is someone who has outlines. They have timelines. They have, they have everything written down.
Yeah.
Everything.
they know the paths laid before them.
Yes.
Okay.
A pantser is someone who's riding by the seat of their pants. They are just riding that wave. They're, going up and down. Wherever the creative flow is going is where they're going, right? They don't have any command over the ship. It's just going. Avalon Academy is very much so from the pants, dude. So much of it is like, okay, where are we going? Where are we going today? When I sit down to write, it's like, where are we going today? And there are certain things that I have planned out. Number 10 is going to be really interesting. Very interesting. It's also the point at which I'm about to do like a full omnibus publish for like part 1 of the omnibus of the series, where I'm going to be doing some like revisions and remastering, re-recording the audio, things like that, to do a full official release on Kindle and Audible and things like that. Awesome. Right? Yeah, so that's coming up soon. Nice. But there's certain things that like I know what's going to happen. Like I know what's going to happen in the relationship between Garrett and Tabitha. I know.
I remember the awkward flirting.
Yes. I know.
I like your boots.
I like your boots. They're nice. I know where that's going, right? I know where Abby's story is going. I know the beats of what's happening to her. I know what her mentor relationship with Renard, where that's going. I know what's going on with Ravi, Keiko Tachibana, all these different characters. I know various like beats of like where things are going, but where we're going for the day for their story is up to them. So when I sit down, I write for writing the series, you get a nice little look into how I write Avalon Academy today. I wasn't planning on talking about this. When I sit down to write for Avalon Academy, I first write down the name of who's going to be who the story is going to be about. So it'll be Abby or Garrett or Maya, so on and so forth, right? Write their name down. And then I kind of meditate on the characters, like, where are we going today? What's happening today? Oh, for Maya, she's at work in the archives. She's putting away books again. What is she gonna see while she's putting away books? Well, if you've ever worked in a library or a bookstore, you encounter all kinds of shit. Whether it be just a mess, or you see like a couple making out, or whatever, man. You see all kinds of stuff, man. So a lot of it is like, where is this character going today, as opposed to me being like, hey, character, go here. Right?
It's sort of like, I get the sense of the reader is like in like a meta people watching sense.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going for. And I kind of set that tone with the entrance of like, let's see who today's story is about. In my new intro for the series. It's like, let's see what's going on with this person. Let's catch up with Abby. I want these people to be, more like people that you catch up with from time to time, rather than like, slice of life often devolves into cute girls doing cute things for cute reasons. And my take on slice of life is, what's going on with this person's life today? Is, sometimes there's some real stakes to that. Sometimes there's it's just nothing and you're just drinking tea at a cafe. Sometimes you're just at work and your work sucks and you hate it, but you're never there for the entire activity. You're never there for the entirety of the day. You're never there to see them, maybe not to see them wake up or go to bed. You're not there for them the entire day, but you're there for them in that moment to see a piece of them, right? And that's been what my take on slice of life is that you're tuning in to what this character is doing, to see like these little moments. The little moments like really matter.
Yeah.
And in relationships, it's the little moments that really matter with the person, whether it's romantic or friendship. When you notice like how your friend like the corners of their mouth purse whenever they're in a hard fight, in an RPG or something like that, how they always gravitate towards the same tea, when they're feeling sad, things like that. Like a lot of the inspiration for Avalon Academy comes down to like the little things that you notice about somebody.
So it's like it's more or less like you get a sense of what makes them like who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a friend and I didn't know this. I think I learned about it just recently, but he doesn't drink soda often, but when he does, you can notice like he's more pepped up.
Yep.
And then so sometimes we'll hang out and then like probably like during the night or the evening, and then he'll be acting that way, and then I have to ask him, I go, did you have soda? And then he looks at me and goes, yeah.
Yes, I did. That's why you're getting full balls Steve, man. Oh man. And with your studying cultural dynamics and things like that, that the interpersonal feeds so much into the greater push of society, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, you're getting these really small glimpses into these characters, right? These little interactions between each other, but with the each thread, you build the fabric of what this society is like. You're told basic structure things by Renard and other, authority figures in the story, right? People that these characters look up to. But what life is really like there isn't painted by the facts. It's painted by how these people actually live, and I try to leave that note of like, you're getting clued into what life is actually like there unwritten, so that it's not like hitting you over the head constantly.
Yeah, it's there, and then if you're able to connect the dots, you will see. And then especially even it'll connect really, like if there's a significant event that happens, you're like, oh wait, okay, chapters before we've been discussing this, hints here, hints there. I remember when I was in grad school working on my thesis, I came across some primary documents, and it was a husband and wife, and they were talking about they're kind of like love letters in a sense. They weren't getting like raunchy or anything, and then every so often I would hear, oh, by the way, I sent the money there, and then I'm like, what money? And I kept going back, and I'm like, oh, well, throughout this entire time they were fundraising for some project that's like central to my entire paper. I'm like, that's probably important for me to write down.
It's a very important note.
Together. She's over here asking her friends for donations for this. I'm like, oh shit, well, she was basically doing the footwork for her husband this entire time.
Yeah, that yeah. So just to take a little bit of the covers off the machine here, little glimpse into the future. There's a series that I'm working on that will take the place of the Bones of Night when it comes to an end. That all of it is written from the perspective that it's primary documentation of stuff. So it's either a direct historical account from a historian, or it's a letter from this person to that person, things like that, because I love digging through primary source media. It is so interesting, seeing their penmanship and how they word things instead of just getting it interpreted, how
one thing for me, sorry to cut
you off. No, you're fine,
but was like, I mean, I knew about the whole, you write a letter, PS.
Yep.
I remember I found some PS comment, and then I had to go back and other letters. I'm like, okay, did I miss some? Because it was like, it brought up a certain point, and I'm like, I found it. I'm like, oh god, like, okay, well, I had to rewrite a whole chapter in my thesis. I didn't care. I wanted to get to the nitty gritty of what I found to make sure I included it and it skip over.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a big part. You don't want to miss. There's some important stuff that could happen in postscripts, man.
Exactly.
It happens all the time. And a lot of times, like, the whole letter is fluff. The real meat's in the postscript. I'm like, why didn't you just make that the real note?
Exactly.
It's like, oh, how are you doing today? Blah blah blah. I love London in July, blah, blah, blah. By the way, we're being invaded. It really sucks, in the PSS.
Basically, exactly.
I think I already know the answer to this question. Do you have a favorite stream from my streaming days?
Well, I thought this is probably the hardest question.
I'm gonna be sad if I'm wrong. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you, but give it to me straight.
Well, okay, then I'll say this. It's probably a tie, but I would say it would have to be your Halo 2 Lasso streams. For those of you who don't,
that, but that's a good answer.
For those of you who don't know, that's playing Halo 2 on legendary difficulty with every single skull on. So it's actually called what's it called? Elite or not elite?
Mythic.
Mythic. There you go.
That used to be the name for it. Yeah.
Yeah, but and the reason I say that is because when you proposed that, I think when you started, I double take. I go, "Are you sure, Sensei? Do you want to do that?"
And even Space was like, "Don't, no."
Well, because going in, I knew I'm like, okay, we're gonna have constant death.
Yeah,
it's gonna be coming at you from all sides. We're not gonna know when it's gonna happen, but we know
more
it's
so
going
than usual.
to happen.
Both ends.
And the being placed in horrible checkpoints.
Yes.
I remember at one point you were at the Gondolas on Delta Halo,
Oh
and
God.
I think I'm like Sensei, you might want to need to restart the level, but you kept at it, and you eventually got through it, and we're all like, oh my God.
I just brute forced the game until it gave up, pretty much. Which is kind of my superpower. I can just sit down and just fuck the game until it gives up, man. Like with Persona 4. I think you were there for the end of Persona 4 for the true boss fight with Izanami.
I was, yeah.
Oh my God, dude. I was so underleveled for that shit, and I just figured it out. And the whole time you were like, dude, it's okay, you can finish it, tomorrow or something. And it's like, no, I'm fucking this
right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm fucking this bitch now. Let's go. Okay, that's an acceptable answer, but it sounded like you had another one.
Yes, I did. It would have to be the one where we almost, what would you categorize it as? Manslaughter might have happened on live stream. It was when you did the stream for was it the Hot One challenge?
Right, ate a fucking jalapeno pepper and died.
Exactly, because for a minute there, like when it was going, because I've seen other streamers do similar things, and it was always okay. It's not that bad of a deal, but then we found out. I don't know if you learned that day or if you knew beforehand, but you were actually like allergic to the actual ingredient.
That was like the final nail in the coffin. It was suspected for a long time because I just can't handle spicy food whatsoever. Okay. Like bell peppers kill me, dude.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. But yeah, that stream was fun. Most streamers or videos that do the hot pepper challenge, they don't end up in scream vomiting in the bathroom. Yeah.
I know, it's like well, maybe something's going on here that we didn't actually prepare for.
Yeah. And I remember like the chat felt so bad. I'm like, it's fun. Yay. I watch it later, I'm like, okay, this is pretty fucking funny. It's horrible, but it's funny.
Well, and then it created the
Milky Nose vomit.
Meme. Exactly.
Yeah. Made Milky Nose vomit, and that was a meme the entire rest of the time for the channel, and it still exists. It's still a thing. I love it. It's the best.
I think in the Discord you even have an emoji of it, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah. It's disgusting, and I love it. It'll probably end up, when I'm a big boy and get picked up by a publisher or something. I'll be like, okay, this graphic has to be on the cover somewhere, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck is this?
Or your fans will just start saying it randomly at meet and greets, and
why are all these 5-star? Why are all these 5-star reviews saying Milky Nose? What the hell is that, dude? Well, back in the days of yore.
It was the spiciest of times. It was the milkiest of times.
When the two combine, bad things happen. So I don't think I actually showed it on stream. I very nearly did the gallon challenge just trying to not burn alive.
Oh, Lord.
That's how much milk I drank, and that's how you get milky nose vomit.
Oh, God.
Well, I'll have to put a link to that little fun nugget. Milky nose vomit. I'm really surprised. Okay. I'm not sad that I'm wrong, but I'm really surprised that your favorite wasn't Freaky Finger Flinger.
Well, I think that would have been the obvious choice. I kind of wanted to deviate, but that was so like when you were fighting Freaky Finger Flinger, in my head, I'm like, I really wish there was some way to like a co-op play or something. I'm like over here like
just help
send exactly like. Like send, I'm like doing everything I can, like send vibes. I'm like
send like, missiles.
Exactly. Send energies. Here's the extra energy tank. Catch it.
Enjoy. Here, you can get super missiles also. Here you go.
Yeah, the entire time I'm like jump. Okay, done.
Don't die. Just stop dying. Just if you stop dying, then you can't lose. Okay.
Just do the opposite of what you've been doing. You got this.
Oh man, we're gonna have to do this again. Okay,
oh,
like
yeah.
This was too damn good. So I know you have like kind of an infrequent schedule with your streaming and all that.
I stream as often as a new Metroid video game is released. Yes.
Well, that takes fucking forever. So I guess you're gonna see Fulfill Your Destiny in like 5 years from now, you know, when we're still waiting for GTA 6 and you know
God.
Skyrim 2 and you know whatever. Oh man. Do you have anything in mind, like something coming up?
Yeah, no, I will have, because I'm in the process. I just started the last time I streamed, I started Black Mesa again, so I want to finish that up and then get some more Metroid. I'll probably do the Prime series to like hype up for Prime 4. But yeah, as far as like schedule wise, just kind of as I go. I don't know, like there's nothing really like set in stone, and I haven't penciled it, but I've been thinking of dabbling in like voice acting in some sense.
Hey.
So I don't know, we'll see what happens with that. I'm not like, there's no overarching goal, it's just something that I've always been interested in doing.
You heard about the thing that Zombies Going On is working on, right?
Yeah.
I think he would like to know that you're thinking about voice acting, because I think he'd love to have you involved.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll have to definitely just kind of I'll meander it out there in the streams.
He'll probably be like, hell yeah, let's go, you know, in as loud a voice as possible. I'm not making fun of Zombies Going On, but
oh yeah,
you know,
no.
He loud.
Yeah, definitely.
I say that lovingly. But I also might give you a call for something for Bones of Night, because I'm doing some like really fun things for like the anomaly entries. And I was thinking about asking Chill Pill to read one of them from Black Sheep Vidya, but I might call you for another one. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Awesome, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
glad to help out. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Just tell me, give me the vibe of when I'm supposed to imbue, and then we'll go from there.
Oh yeah. And the Bones of Night is a pretty good one to work with if you're wanting to get into voice acting, because you're playing a character as opposed to just reading prose and things like that. You know, you're not reading. And then she looked down the hallway and saw a very creepy bulge. You know, like.
And it was at that time that the milky nose vomit commenced.
It came with such effluvium.
The feline partook his owner's face in disgust.
Maybe we should do an entire episode of just this. Like, I read a line, you read a line. It's like, and then she touched him. And he was like, ew.
Get away from me.
Ew, icky pooey. Oh, man. Watch Fulfill Your Destiny. Just enjoy Fulfill Your Destiny. You know, you always bring like awesome memes and stuff to my Discord. So if you guys want to talk to Fulfill Your Destiny, he's on a lot of Discord servers, but he's also on mine, and maybe you'd like to talk to him there.
I do. So as Destiny often does, it meanders around. Yeah, I often do.
Yes. Yes. You go where it needs to be met. Haha.
Exactly.
You go where Destiny
Well, it needs to be fulfilled.
Yes. You're also on Twitter. Anything else that I'm forgetting here? We're gonna have links in the description, but
okay. No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's just YouTube, Twitter. I technically have a Twitch. I've never streamed on Twitch.
Yeah. I tried. It didn't work out. Yeah, I think the only people that I ever got on Twitch were people that are like, this game's stupid, and they just like disappear.
I've been seeing that a lot these days, and it's really awkward. But I love the streamers' response to it. So they'll either politely say "fuck off," or they'll say, "Then do something else." You don't have a chain. No one's chaining you to interact with the stream. Just go. Yeah. Scroll away.
I think my reaction to it was always like, "Cool story, bro." And it's like
right on. Okay, freaky Finger Flinger. Here we go.
Yeah. God, I hate that stupid fucking dinosaur.
It's like, you don't understand. I hate this thing more than you.
If you were this, I'd be shooting missiles at you, okay? That's what I'm saying. I have a real enemy to fight here, not you. All right, man. Seriously, thank you so much. I mean, geez, we've been here for almost 2 hours in between, like, sorting out technical issues and all.
Oh yeah, so a big caveat before we start recording. My computer was telling me, my computer was gaslighting me. It was going, Fulfill, you say you have a microphone. I don't really think you have a microphone.
It's like, dude, it's right here. It's right here. Do you see it? No. Not on.
This is not the microphone you're looking for.
Hey, that only works on the weak. Actually, there is no microphone.
Exactly. Stuck on the Matrix over here.
Just be like a Toydarian. Be like, mind tricks don't work on me, only money. All right, buddy. Well, thank you again for coming on the call. Won't be the last time. Well, I'll have to bring you on for a milestone or something, man. Make it special.
Okay, yeah, and I am interested in helping out any way I can. Yeah.
Maybe we'll even do a thing around that where like we'll record the whole process of recording that. Like the coaching and everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
That might be a really I really like that idea.
I like it too.
That might be what we do, man.
Getting goosebumps.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Thank you so much. And everybody check out Fulfill Your Destiny. And if you don't, you are not fulfilling your destiny.
And also, I have to do my part. So as the community Sherpa, you need to check out Sensei Rain's content. Okay.
By now, if you're not, I have questions about your life. But
exactly, no, definitely. So, and if you don't, I have authority from the benefactor Spock that says he will splicey splash all over your carpet if you don't.
I knew Spock had to get into this at some point. I knew you were going to bring him up at some point. But hey, I love my kitties, so it's totally good. All right, buddy. You take care and have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Sensei.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed today's show. What did you think of the episode? Leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought, or leave a question for my new monthly Q&A episode. Before you go, please be sure to leave a like and share the show with a friend. It makes a massive difference in helping with discovery of the show, but also lets me know what you'd like to see more of. Check out the link tree below in the description to see all the different ways you can enjoy the show, or how to connect on social media and Discord. Special thanks to Fulfill Your Destiny for being a paid subscriber on Substack. Your contribution makes this show possible, and I cannot thank you enough for your support. If you would like to be featured in the show's special thanks, as well as other perks, please check out my Substack link in my link tree. Words cannot express how much I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to see what I've been working on, and I truly hope to see you again soon. Until next time, good fortune, good health, and good day.